en tu cara me fascina, algo en tu cara me da vida.
Será tu sonrisa, será tu sonrisa.
Pequeña, échate pa' acá.
Welcome to 10th Year Senior's second podcast. I'm John Mark Nutt.
And I'm Dakari, and I was a little confused. No J Electronica this time. What's up, John?
Hey, I got the lead today, so you know me. I got my Chilean background coming in because we have some important things to talk about today.
Soccer.
We have Tage and Nal. They'll be coming in a little later in this podcast. But the most recent news of what happened was the USA took on the Bahamas in soccer at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium last night. I actually was able to record the game and get the footage, and Dakari was there as a fan.
Yeah, I was in the crowd. It was a festive crowd, sitting next to a few of my friends, a few of my buddies who got a little obnoxious. I wasn't too sure of their soccer knowledge, but, they did a good job, I think, cheering for the Bahamas.
But, I mean, the experience alone, you have it's an under-23 Olympic team. It wasn't the senior national team, but it's still, to have a U.S. federation come here, it shows that they respect the Bahamas in a way to be able to bring their team here to play against us.
Yeah, it was great to see. It was great to see just Bahamian athletes on the field on an international stage with U.S. athletes competing, and not just competing, but they stuck in there for a very long time. Tied 1-1 until the 57th minute.
Yeah, talking about sticking in there, I actually got an interview with Benjamin Hoya. He's a midfielder for the Chicago Fire in the MLS, and he spoke about the competition of how he was impressed with the competition.
Yeah, no, I think the competition's good. Obviously, they came back tying the game, and that says a lot. Obviously, we come here to obviously get the win, and we're not going to stop. But no, the experience right here in the competition, it's very high. And most of them, I know they're playing in universities over there in the United States. So it's something good, something positive they bring over here to Bahamas.
I think that the biggest thing is he's right with the university players. In the U.S., they play a different style of soccer, and for us to be able to have some people in college playing there right now, it gives them a little bit of, not an advantage, but it gives them something to know what to expect with the American team.
Well, the U.S. is a larger country. They have more resources than we do. So just the fact that, they came down here, they wanted to get their first international friendly with someone in CONCACAF who was so close. I think it benefited our players just to play that level of competition to see what we're up against. And it allows us to gauge how far we are, what we need to work on, what our coaches have to focus on.
Well, talking about that, I actually was able to get Cameron Heppel from Team Bahamas. He's been playing professional soccer for since I've known him. So, and I was able to get an interview with him, and he was touching those points. So let's take a listen to that.
Well, you got to think about, this U.S. team, they're organized. They have a population of 300 million people. So they have a budget of millions of dollars. So they're a lot more organized. They have set plays from the men's team all the way down to their grassroots program.
Yeah, so as you said, you and Cameron are pretty much on the same page there with the funding and the amount of people there, but it goes to show that the Bahamas is taking a step in the right direction with hosting these type of games.
Yeah, most of the kids down here, they're more into basketball and football. That's what they watch on TV. Those are the more popular sports. But to have an event like that in the Bahamas and to see so many kids at the event, it gives them an idea of what Bahamians can do on that stage. And, you can play internationally. You don't have to just be focused on playing in the Bahamas. You can actually have scholarship opportunities to play not only in North America, but in Europe. So it was good that Bahamian team got to show that.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of kids out there. A lot of kids play soccer. Soccer is one of the cheapest sports for the kids to play, to get and going. So, and they have the funding there. They have the leagues, youth leagues. A lot of leagues here don't have those youth leagues, but they have the youth leagues. But we need to talk about the most exciting moment from last night. Everyone knows what that moment is. This kid, he made history. He may not know it, but he made history. Jonathan Patrick, in around the 39th,
Soccer.
40th minute, scored the first goal ever at the senior level for the Bahamas against the United States. To me, that is one of the biggest achievements that we could have had. And not only that, scored a goal to tie
Wait
the
for
game.
Wait for it. Equalizer.
An equalizer. It wasn't like
I know
this.
so many soccer terms.
It wasn't like this goal came in garbage time. This goal came in at a competitive time during the game. I mean, I said 30 minutes, but I think it was after half. Yeah, it was after halftime. But still, they went into the locker room. They were down 1-0. They came out. The team stayed focused, had intensity, and came out and scored a goal.
Listen to some motivational videos.
I don't know, but whatever they had, they drank the Gatorade. They went in there, and I mean, it was that one moment. I mean, to me, that made the night. Even though I was recording the game, you kind of get caught up in the moment. I mean, I've been to World Cup game with Chile, seeing Chile score a goal. Excitement. I'm
humble brag.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, it was a very proud moment. You have to, hats off to Jonathan Patrick for getting that goal. We have the highlights on 10thyearsenior.com.
The best part I think about that was when the U.S. scored first, the crowd erupted. People came to the match. They wanted to see a goal. But then when the Bahamas came back and tied the game up, everyone went insane. Where I was sitting, everyone just started jumping up. They started clapping. People were giving each other high fives. People who were complaining the whole match all of a sudden had nothing to complain about. And for a moment there, everyone's like, wait a minute. We actually have a shot in this game. But
I mean, we had Wiley, the goalkeeper. He I asked him about the goal because he actually went and celebrated a little bit with the team. He ran from his keeper's box. So let's take a listen to what he had to say with this goal.
It's so good. It's such a position to be in where you scored. I mean, for us, especially against big teams, goals are always at a premium, and to get that goal is always exciting. You want to come on, you want to be a part of the celebration, and hopefully you want it to last longer than it did. But when I make Sayers team celebrate with me, so when our guys score, I feel like I need to give them the love as well. All right, thanks. Yeah, man.
The biggest thing I got from that soundbite was that goals don't come easy. And for them to get a goal against the U.S., I mean, it's a big deal. This team, they don't train together. They work. They have jobs. They got to go train at 6 in the morning, then go to work, go back to train in the afternoon. The U.S. team, they're professionals. You ask them, what do you do for a living? They play
soccer.
You ask a Bahamian what they do for a living, they're going to tell you, well, I have to do this, support my family in this way. We only have a few who play professionally. And I mean, it just shows that we have the talent here that if we dedicate ourselves to the right funding, if corporate sponsors will come out, take the burden off the government for sponsoring these youth kids, these inner city kids, we could have a pretty good soccer program here.
And one of the things that I think was on display there was that you just saw effort for the full 90 minutes. No matter what was happening in the game, the Bahamas team kept running. They stuck to their tactics. They knew what they had to do to keep the game, for most part, within reach. So we had a team that was incredibly focused, I think, and that just, for the full 90 minutes, just ran and kept up with the U.S. as best as they could. And for funding in the future and for what, the under-17 team can do and what, we'll do for kids. There's a lot of ventures and charities going on to support youth soccer in the country, and we just have to continue that and keep building a base. And this is just one of the early steps into it, and to keep the Bahamas on the international stage.
Yeah, and it's all about experience for these kids. A lot of these kids, as you say, they are kids. They're gaining experience playing their first match. This was the first friendly that the U.S. Olympic team played this year. So this was their first game. This was our first game. We kept it close for 65 minutes. You go and ask people how long they thought that game was going to be close for.
I'm going to go ask people.
We got to go ask people. I guarantee they would say it would be 15 minutes and they would be up 3-0. But, hey, they put up a good effort. You could see that the fitness from the other teams was superior because of the training that they have.
That's a solid soccer term.
Yeah.
Continue.
The train. Like I said, we can only go up from here. You can't take this and say, oh, we got beat 5-1. This 5-1, the score doesn't. It's just like in basketball.
Tell us why it's a good result. Go ahead, John. I know you had a rant. Go ahead. Tell us.
It's a good result because first, the kids are gaining experience. Second, people didn't think we were going to win the game. Third, like I said, these kids, they work for a living. They don't play soccer full time. So for them to come out, dedicate their time, play against the team full of professionals. I mean, I tip my hat to Team Bahamas. I respect. I'm happy. I'm proud to say that, hey, the Bahamas came out and played well and kept it close. And like I said, they just fitness and getting tired for the last 25 minutes. That was a downfall. Think of this.
Go ahead.
Brazil got beat 7-1. Okay? These world-class athletes. Soccer happens, but when you look at the score 5-1, 65 minutes into the game, they're still in the game. I think it was a great result. You can't tell me any different.
Earlier today, John sent me his points for this podcast, A to G. I think he just hit all of them just now and ended it with his trump card. Hey, at least we did better than Brazil. He did better than Brazil. He was waiting to say that for this entire podcast. Don't get it twisted. Okay, so coming up next, we're going to talk about the NBA offseason. You know who else is a fan of soccer? LeBron James.
LeBron James.
He traveled to the World Cup, and then he also, overshadowed the World Cup a little bit.
Yeah, and you can find out why someone thinks someone's overrated.
Oh, God.
And why we think the Wolves are going to be the next hipster team.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to the podcast. We have Tage and Ronaldo in the house.
Hey guys, this is Tage. Yo, what's up?
And as we told you before we went to this commercial break, we're going to be talking about some basketball off-season moves. And I know Dakari's been itching for a while to be discussing about it. So let's hand this over to Dakari so he can start his mini rant.
Okay. I don't even actually want to talk about LeBron first. I want to talk about Pau Gasol, who was the biggest move in free agency to me. Pau Gasol was choosing between the Thunder, San Antonio Spurs, and the Chicago Bulls. John is obsessed with Kevin Love. Most people were obsessed with LeBron James. Pau Gasol decided who was going to be in the championship in whatever conference he went to. And barring injuries, that's who I think is going to end up in the finals. Chicago Bulls, just based off of that.
What about the last 4 years when the Lakers just didn't do anything at all? I mean, come on, I agree he's a big acquisition, and he probably was the best player on those championship teams that with the Lakers. They gave the MVP to Kobe for some reason. I don't know why. But
Kobe haters are going to be coming out now.
Oh yeah, I'm pissing everybody off. But really, Gasol at this stage in his career, you really think he's the best? Like he's the biggest over LeBron or Kevin Love or somebody better?
I could see you saying he was one of the most influential acquisitions, but the biggest. This was a free agent period where we had LeBron basically deciding everything this year. We had Carmelo. Pau Gasol is at least a tier below those guys. So, I mean, we can't say Pau Gasol was the biggest free season off.
This is my argument, or at least my counter argument to that. In the history of free agency, never has, I think, one move of the biggest free agent movement decided the championship. So while he wasn't the biggest in terms of box office draws, just his value and what he adds to the team and his supplemental skill set to the Bulls is what's the most important thing. And Tage, and Ronaldo and John, you've all played on teams, sometimes that weren't teams that weren't that good. And, that causes you to sometimes go into a funk and not, play as well as you normally would. Oh, there go the sneaks.
His skill set is, for the last 4 years, really has been falling down.
Well, I don't think he's as bad as most people think he is. I think he's still a plenty skilled player. I think D'Antoni didn't do a good enough job of putting the ball in his hands. I feel like a coach's job is to play to their strengths. I don't know why coaches have this whole dogma thing. Well, this is how we play. A coach's job is to get the most out of their players, and Antony really didn't put him in a position to succeed. He didn't post them up. He didn't give them the ball in the mid post. That's not how he plays. But I don't think he's as good as Dakari says he is either. He'll make a big impact on the Bulls, but he's not as good as Dakari says he is.
Here's my thing about the Pau Gasol signing. It would have been virtually irrelevant if Carmelo went to the Bulls. That should have been the biggest free agent movement deal in this whole offseason, where Carmelo went. Him going back to the Knicks kind of inflated Pau's value in a sense.
I just made you talk about Pau Gasol for 5 minutes.
Pau Gasol should have gone to the Heat, a real team, not no Chicago Bulls.
What an awful point. Oh, man. Pau Gasol. But listen, this is, again, the Pau Gasol point. It's not that he was necessarily the best player. It's that if a player with his skill set, the Spurs wanted him, the Thunder wanted him, and the Bulls wanted him. The Cavs would have wanted him if they had the opportunity to get him. The Cavs probably should have gone after him. All these teams knew what Pau Gasol could do. He's a big man who can score and who can pass the ball, who is in a bad situation without a second star on his team. And let's be honest, he probably is like, you know what, I'm not going to play that hard. I know I'm going to be a free agent. Honestly, everyone does that. Every player does that.
That's great. But I don't know, Pau Gasol, whatever. Anyway, talking about the Cavs, this is what John is waiting for all week. John was waiting to get into this all week. The Cavs finally finalized the trade for Kevin Love. John hates him. I don't understand why.
Hate is such a strong word. How
thoroughly
about
dislikes him?
Yeah, thoroughly disliked him. But I think he's one of the most overrated players in the league. I mean, it's just he's never made the playoffs before. How could you be a great basketball player and never make the playoffs?
How much people average 19 and 12 in their career? It's not something that anybody could get out of
On
bed
a bucket
and do.
team. A bucket.
It doesn't matter. Like, you can't wake up out of bed one day and average 18 and 12 in the NBA. That's just not how it works.
John, did anybody on the Bucks last year average 26 and 12?
It was just as bad as the Timberwolves.
No.
But they probably had a better shot of making the playoffs than the
You're
Wolves.
just defeated by logic.
My point is that's a bucket team, and there was nobody putting up that numbers. You still have to have the talent to be able to put up the numbers on the bad team.
Look, until he makes the playoffs, he can't be considered one of the greatest players in the NBA. I mean, and the whole thing is if LeBron never made the playoffs and then he went to the playoffs, he'd been to the finals, he went to the big three, people were like, oh, he's copying out, he's a sellout because he's going to Miami and he's looking for championships, he's looking for free championships, blah, blah, buying the team. What do you think Kevin Love's doing?
Look at how red
Kevin
he's
Love
getting.
has
Look at how
had
red
no
he's getting.
he's had no success. Like, he's put up numbers, whoop-de-flick-and-do. But how could you not make the playoffs? 8 teams make the playoffs from each conference. 8. It isn't like the NFL where only 6 teams per conference. It's 8 teams.
The
To not
West
make
is
the
really
playoffs, you
strong.
really have to be doing poor.
The West is really strong. He's at least in the top 15 players in the league. And he will have LeBron James and Kyrie Irving on his team where he doesn't have to do the work, and he will have open jump shots.
You don't make the playoffs when your starting point guard can't shoot at all. When your starting small forward is Corey Brewer. And when your two guard, who the hell was the Timberwolves two guard?
I think the
this
two
year?
guard was like Kevin Martin.
Kevin Martin.
Kevin out for the season, Martin. But Minnesota, them.
And you drafted Shabazz Muhammad in the lottery.
Shabazz Muhammad sucks. Their management is historically bad. Anybody remember the year when they drafted like 3
point guards?
Like, yeah, they drafted
in the
like
first round.
They drafted Johnny Flynn. He didn't even make it out of his.
I believe in Johnny Flynn.
Johnny Flynn sucks. Like, no, I think I referenced that in my article. Like, no, like he didn't even make it out of his rookie contract.
For the record, Johnny Flynn cannot come to the NPBA and get buckets. Johnny Flynn would probably be like the 3rd best player in the NPBA.
But those like your guy will give him buckets. No, Lenny Oscar would give Johnny Flynn hella buckets.
But until K-Love, as people love to refer to him, makes the playoffs, I mean, what legitimate?
He's going to make the playoffs this year.
No, okay, well, yeah, he's going to make the playoffs now that they put like 100 million people around him. But he couldn't do it himself. Look, Kevin Garnett was in Minnesota. Kevin Garnett had some bucket teams. guard. I don't care that what it was. It doesn't
whoa,
matter.
whoa.
He's still. Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
He's still playing in the NBA now. He's still in the NBA now with Kevin Love, and he's still making the playoffs, and Kevin Love hasn't.
Kevin Love's gonna make it. And he went to the East.
When was the last time there was a happy superstar in Minnesota? Anyone? Anyone?
Kevin Garnett. He was happy.
Kevin Garnett sat in interviews with John Thompson and literally cried to get out of Minnesota.
At the end, but he was happy during the Latrell Sprewell, Sam Cassell years.
Because they were good.
And well, yeah, that's what I
so
mean. Like, that's the last time he was happy.
That was the last time. How long ago was that?
Kirby Puckett.
An NBA superstar.
Joe
was that?
Mauer doesn't even want to be
Okay,
there. And
but-
he's from there.
Even if we use those examples,
Andrew Wiggins.
The Twins won the World Series in what, 92?
So how soon is it until Andrew Wiggins and Zach LaVine cry to get out of Minnesota? What's the over and under on the amount of years?
Rookie contract.
Rookie contract. They're gonna try to be.
That's 3 years with a 4th-year option for the team.
Never.
So that's 4 years.
They are never leaving. They're gonna love Minnesota.
I think they stay
They're gonna
together.
get black jerseys. Ricky Rubio is gonna be all Spanish, and pass them alley-oops behind his head, and they're gonna dunk on everyone.
Ricky Rubio
And win
averaged
15 games.
Ricky Rubio averaged 8 assists last year. He's not going anywhere. The person who's gonna leave is Shabazz Muhammad, and JJ Barea is just gonna dedicate himself to beating the Bahamas in international competition.
Oh, I played
We hate him.
against him when I was 18, and he wrecked us. But that's neither here nor there. While we talking about Minnesota, let's talk about how exciting they're gonna be. I feel like Minnesota's gonna be the best, the most fun to watch terrible team in the NBA. They're gonna like probably win the lottery. They're gonna suck, but they're gonna be fun to watch. Ricky Rubio likes to throw 80-foot lobs, and y'all seen the Zach LaVine videos this summer?
Don't you think at some point Pekovic is just going to get frustrated at them running up and down the court, throwing lobs all the time, never throwing it into the post, and just strangle somebody?
This is my thing about Pekovic. Yeah, Pekovic looks like a Russian strongman, right? What do those guys do? They stand in the corner and wait for orders. He's just gonna stand in the corner and wait until they say Pekovic go kill
We're
someone.
going to just go ahead and
Then
say
he's
he
gonna
was in the
kill someone.
KGB. We have no evidence of this, but yeah, he was in the KGB.
I think they should have cast Pekovic to play Bane and Batman. I think he would be much more appropriate to the character in the comics. Tom Hardy's like 5'6". I think Pekovic is much more appropriate. But that team is gonna be on SportsCenter every night. Zach LaVine is gonna be putting his nuts in the rim. Ricky Rubio is gonna be throwing.
Yeah, they're going to be on SportsCenter every night. It's going to be like, and the losing streak continues. It's like, that's what's going to
I don't
happen.
know if y'all saw the video of the rookie media day today. Zach LaVine said that on his iPod there's a lot of Chief Keef. Anyone who listens to a lot of Chief Keef and has to live in Minnesota, I'm rooting for him. I hope he gets it done. His career could be 15 years or 2 years.
If that's true, I just lost a ton of confidence in Zach LaVine.
Yeah, but you saw him dunk though, so.
And they got Thaddeus Young too. So it looks like they're gonna play like a small ball.
Hey,
Yeah.
if
Oh,
the
God.
Timberwolves make the playoffs this year,
They will not make the playoffs.
if
They will
they
not
make the playoffs, it goes to show Kevin Love is garbage. Hot garbage. He can't
John,
lead a team
if
doing
they
this by
make the
himself.
playoffs, a table and live on me. If they make the playoffs, that ain't happening.
Speaking of Kevin Love, as we know, the knee-jerk reaction for everybody, well, every Bahamian fan, I should say, is that the Cavs are going to the finals. LeBron's going to win another ring. What's Kevin Love's ceiling for the Cavs this year?
All right, I'm going.
A
look,
free ride. That's what it is. A free ride.
Like I think it was Bill Simmons who said that he's gonna average 26 and
16 and 5.
he's not gonna average 26 and he's not gonna average 5 or he won't have the ball in his hand enough to average 5 assists between
Crybaby Irving.
dude, and LeBron. Those guys are gonna dominate the ball, and he won't have the ball. The only way he'll score is if on catch and shoot situations. He won't be able to work with the ball with those two ball hogs, ball dominators.
I think his numbers are going to regress more towards where Chris Bosh has been performing for the Heat the last couple of years. You're going to see K Love more in that 18 to 8 range and not the astronomical 26 and 12 numbers that he was putting up in Minnesota. Because like Tage was saying, he's not going to have the same opportunities. He's going to have to spot up. You have Dion Waiters and the emotionally unstable Kyrie Irving in the backcourt. So
I don't think Dion Waiters is gonna make it through that.
I feel like Kyrie Irving's full name should be emotionally unstable Kyrie Irving from now on.
that's his name.
That should be his actual
Temper
name.
tantrum,
But I
Kyrie
think,
Irving.
Kevin Love, his numbers are gonna dip, But, he's going to make the All-Star game. He's going to start over Chris Bosh. There aren't that many.
He's going to
power
get
forwards
voted
the
in.
East.
That doesn't merit
He's
you
gonna
getting
get
in.
Voted in, but people would have said Chris Bosh's number sometimes that he wouldn't have made the
Two-time champion.
All-Star.
2.
Okay, Sean. You wouldn't have made the All-Star.
I think Kevin Love is gonna average about 20 and 10 though. Like that's a safe bet.
But Chris Bosh numbers are going to go up to what Kevin Love number was.
Chris Bosh might average. He might go up to like the Toronto days when he averaged 25. Like it could happen because he'll have enough touches, and I don't think D Wade is gonna be super healthy. But I think the Cavs are a safe bet to make the East because I just don't trust Derrick Rose. Everybody's saying he's back. I'm gonna have to see him play before I say he can make it through a season and the postseason.
Let's put it this way. If the Cavs don't make the finals and win this year, I really think the Pacers are going to be the next San Antonio Spurs as making the lottery, maybe getting that high draft pick, and then coming back the next year with Paul George healthy again, a highly recruited pick. I mean, they're going to be scary if they get into the lottery.
Well, Roy Hibbert can opt out next year and then go to Portland like he wanted to go all along.
God, no.
Half a year.
God, no.
I feel like a 7-footer in Portland. I feel like Brook Lopez is just like. I feel like a 7-footer tempts fate when he goes to Portland. Like you're just taking your life in your hands. It's not the place to go.
Okay, I can't say the words that I want to say on this podcast to you, Tage, but I'm just gonna say I disagree with you.
That was a lot of R's.
I know, right?
That's the residential Portland fan over here. He's trying to.
But yeah,
Never been to Portland, but a big Portland fan.
we should go to Portland. Let's plan a trip to Portland during MLS and basketball season.
Go home.
But
Go to the Rose
thing with,
Garden.
The Bulls and the Cavaliers, which is all it's gonna come down to in the East. This is just like the Heat and the Pacers from last year. We know what the Eastern
Watch out with
Conference
the Heat,
Finals is
okay?
gonna be.
Watch out.
We know what the
Sleep
Eastern Conference
upset
Finals is
specials
gonna
coming
be.
up.
It's all down to LeBron James's defense and if he can still lock down Derrick Rose like he did the last 2 times Derrick Rose played the Heat in the playoffs, and that's just all it comes down to.
Anyway, y'all see Becky Hammond got hired from the Spurs. Y'all think that's a good move? Like, how do you feel about that?
I knowing the Spurs organization, she probably coaches one thing really well, and is going to be coaching the hell out of some players with that one thing really well. So
Outlet passes. Becky Hammond, the best outlet passing coach in the history of the NBA. Just lock it down.
Becky Hammond probably knows something like the one perfect angle to come off of a pick and roll, and that's just the only thing she's going to be teaching Patty Mills. She's going to work exclusively with Patty Mills.
But the thing is, I feel like if anybody could do that, like the Milwaukee Bucks or like the Sacramento Kings can't do that. The Spurs could get away with anything at this point. They drafted Kyle Anderson. Like, no, I don't think Kyle Anderson is going to be a viable NBA player. He doesn't fit into any mold or prototype to be an NBA player. But like,
except that he plays exactly like Boris Diaw.
Boris Diaw didn't fit into any mold until he got to the Spurs. Like,
Not true. Not true.
He was good at what?
Boris Diaw was a borderline all-star in Phoenix.
Yo, but that was years ago. And his last couple stints in the NBA, he was done. He looked like he was on his way to the hot dog eating circuit.
I know one thing Boris Diaw did in Phoenix.
Ate
That
a lot of
Kevin Love
barbecue,
didn't
bro.
do in Minnesota. Make the playoffs.
Oh gosh, I don't think they made the playoffs. You're gonna have to look that up.
And we were talking about free agency. All the big free agent signings that have happened. Eric Bledsoe's still out there. What happens with Eric Bledsoe?
Tenth Year Seniors, we are back. We at 10th Year Seniors consider ourselves a very classy bunch. Classy enough to tell you what's classy and what's not classy. So we present to you our new segment called That's Not Classy. Now we're going to start with Chris Humphries. MTV comedian Carly Aquilino said in a podcast with Charlamagne Tha God that she was on a date with Chris Humphries at his apartment, and he proceeded to put his genitals on her leg and fart very loudly. Chris Humphries doing that to a young lady, putting your genitals on her leg and farting in her presence. on your first date is not classy.
That was pretty classy though. Daniel Snyder went on TV and did another interview where he said that the name and the term Redskins was a sign of respect and honor for the Native American people. Daniel Snyder, anytime you have to go on TV and defend on something that you're saying or the name of your team isn't racist, that's like a dead giveaway that it actually is in fact racist. So Daniel Snyder is either an idiot or he's just being willfully ignorant. And he knows that, you know, he shouldn't be doing it, but he's doing it anyway. So Daniel Snyder, not classy.
Jay-Z's alleged mistress Olivia McFarlane dropped a diss song directed at Beyonce called Sorry Miss Carter. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, she brought the legendary Outkast into this whole atrocity by rapping over the beat for Miss Jackson. Miss McFarlane, you have incredible abs, but that's not classy.
The NBA refunding classless Cavalier fans the Andrew Wiggins jerseys who they purchased on draft day. NBA, very classy, my friend. Very classy.
What about Kevin Love jerseys?
Unclassy. But with that, we finish our second podcast. We hope to have you listen in. Comment, please. Let us know what you think. We'll be back pretty soon to get our third podcast. So thanks a lot.